everybody. In this video, I'm going to be doing another complete portfolio update in my Robinhood account. Just about 2 weeks ago, I made one of these videos and I was at around -7 or 8%. And now just 2 weeks later, I'm at break even actually. And I actually caught it at 0% gain all time today, which was kind of funny. And as I've mentioned before, I was at something like plus 14% when the stock market was at its highest point. You can't really tell now because it's dipped so much, but I had invested about $2,500 and that was up about 14%. And it was just a steady increase over the last 9 or 8 months or however long it was. And then it just dive bombed right there at the end there, as you can see. But it's been steadily increasing for the last month or so, which has been absolutely great. And I really look forward to seeing it increase more and more. And here you can see I was at about plus 5% at the peak, which wasn't 5% at the time. I was investing a lot less money then. So it was actually at about plus 14% because I was only investing $2,000 or $2,500 or however much it was back then in the middle of February. And then here, this is where I was hurting. At its very lowest point, my portfolio was down over $2,000. And I actually really was not too upset about it. If anything, I was excited about it at the time because I knew there were so many great buying opportunities at this point. And this is when I really started putting a lot more cash into my Robinhood account. And you may have noticed up above, I still have about $1,200 in cash in my account and more cash that I'm ready to put into my account because there are a lot of rumors about the stock market doing another kind of mini crash here in the coming months, and I'm ready for it. But without further ado, let's get right into it. In this video, I'm just going to be pretty much briefly mentioning each stock that I've invested in. I've done other videos on all of these, just about all of these different stocks if you are interested in learning more about them. First up is Tesla, one of my favorite investments. I originally invested in it on Stash at an average cost of $240 and sold at $500, which was a huge mistake. And now I just have a couple of shares on Robinhood for an average cost of about $650. And then there's MasterCard and at the bottom Visa there, and I think those are both really safe and massive companies that are going to continue to steadily grow despite any kind of market conditions, even though consumer spending is going to be down for a while. Then there's Alibaba. They're going to be doing a 8-to-1 stock split this summer, and I think that's really going to help their stock out dramatically, as well as just rebounding with China opening up all of their business again. Next up is Uber, which I have 8 shares of. I think I have an average cost of $24 or $25. I actually invested in it heavily, not heavily because I only have 8 shares, but I invested in a few shares before the market declined, and then I've bought a few more since Uber was less than $20. And then Salesforce is basically a bet on data becoming ever more prevalent in companies' lives, and data is extremely powerful for different companies, and Salesforce is one of the biggest players there. So that's why I bought a share of Salesforce. And then I have a couple of shares of Take-Two Interactive, TTWO, and I actually would not mind having several more shares of this. I think they're one of the most growth-oriented and successful video game stocks you can invest in, and I've actually made a video on them if you want to check out why. And then Microsoft, I'm sure all of you are familiar with. It's one of the tech giants out there, and I would not mind building my position up more in Microsoft. If my account had to be entirely one stock, I think that stock would be Microsoft. Disney, I bought a couple of shares around $130, then a couple more shares in the 90s, and I actually would not mind getting another couple shares if it goes back into below the $100 range. Then there's PayPal. This is one of my first investments on Robinhood actually, and I think it's becoming more and more prevalent, especially as younger generations that use PayPal in their everyday lives get more and more money to spend. I think PayPal is going to be one of the biggest benefactors of that. Activision is another really great video game company right now that has been killing it for the last few months, as has the entire industry because everyone's been stuck at home. But they really in the last year have gotten much more involved in mobile gaming, and that's really expanded their business model and given them new revenue streams. Next up is Tencent, which is another Chinese e-commerce play. Again, one of the first stocks I bought on here, which I bought for a little less than $50, and I haven't seen much of a gain here, and I don't really plan on adding to this position anytime soon. Next up is EADSY, which is actually Airbus, and I have 10 shares of them, and they're traditionally traded around $30, and there's no reason that they won't be able to rebound really, really well within the next couple of years. They're not going through a lot of the same struggles that Boeing is, so I do think that this stock price will be able to double with my money pretty easily. Next up is Carnival Cruise Line, and you'll also see Royal Caribbean Cruise Line here in just a minute, but I actually had a few of these shares before the market dropped, and boy, was that a bad idea because I was able to get my average cost down a lot, but I would have saved a lot of money if I just bought those shares for a much lower price, and I would have many more shares now. But there are a lot of bears out there saying that it could go bankrupt, which is somewhat of a possibility. Norwegian Cruise Line actually said that there is a possibility of bankruptcy, and I think it is possible that one of the big three, which is Norwegian, Royal Caribbean, and Carnival, could go bankrupt, but people aren't going to stop cruising anytime soon, so to say all the cruise lines are going to go bankrupt is pretty ridiculous. Moat is a ETF that invests in different companies that have an economic moat or can't easily be competed against, such as pharmaceutical companies. So I have a few shares of that ETF, and I will probably keep adding to that over time. Next up is New Residential Investment, and I actually regret this decision a little bit now. I bought it around $15, and it's down to $6.60 now, and it was less than $5 when things were a little bit worse. I do fully expect this stock to get up above $10, but if I get all of my money back, I will be a little bit surprised if it does go up near the $15 mark anytime soon. And New York Mortgage Trust is the exact same situation. I bought it up close to $6, and it went down to $1. I bought into those because the dividend was so attractive, but now they've just tanked, and I don't know if I'm really going to get my money back. Advanced Micro Devices, I bought those 3 shares at $41, and I'm already up to $53, so I'm really happy with that investment. I definitely wish I had bought more, but they have a huge deal with the upcoming Xbox Series X, and I think they're really going to have steady income for many years to come. And a lot of that growth is already factored into the stock price, but I think as their revenues continue to increase, so will their stock price. Royal Caribbean, I kind of already mentioned. The next one is CRISPR, which they're the biggest player in gene editing right now, which is an industry, pretty new industry that I think is going to continue to grow. And then somewhat similarly, CRISPR works with Vertex, but they're completely different companies. And Vertex is actually not a play with all of the stuff that's going on right now, but it is a pharmaceutical company, but they kind of have an economic moat, and they develop drugs that nobody is really competing with. And if you look at their 5-year chart, you can see that they're doing incredibly well for a pharmaceutical company right now. And to say this last few are Virgin Galactic. I keep wanting to say SpaceX when I see this one, but it's Virgin Galactic. I bought it at $18, and then it went down to, I believe, $14, so wish I had waited another couple of weeks on that, but I don't know if this stock price is really going to go to the moon, but I think it can easily go up above $30 to where it was before the market dropped. And then there's Boeing. I got it at $91, which I was really happy with because it only went down to $89, so I got it at almost rock bottom. And I have a limit order set at about $110, I believe, and I would not mind adding to my position there. And then last is Jets, which is an airline ETF. I do think a few airlines may go bankrupt out of all that's happening right now, but I do think most of them will rebound really well. So Jets is kind of a safer bet for me than investing in any singular airline. Again, I did make videos on most of these companies in my portfolio, so if you are curious about those, go and check them out. Or you could just leave a comment down in the comments, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and subscribe for more content.